Okay, welcome back. Sorry for the break there. I'll try and wrap this up so I don't hold you too much longer. Um, with the evaluation of my learning object, the problem with word problems, ultimately I got all positive feedback overall. I addressed assessment and instructional alignment, organization and navigation of the content, use of multimedia, and finally the value to instruction. Basically, the same questions that were given to us from the professor for the course. And I got a lot of good stuff for value of instruction, which I think to me was the biggest um, goal here was, do we think this is going to help our students? And the students who took my survey thought that it was valuable to them, and the teachers see a lot of potential there as well, and things that we can do to make this something. They're excited about using this and making this something we use across the department, which means I am as well. I mean, I was excited before, but now seeing that there's going to be some support there from some of my colleagues um, makes it something I can really look forward to. So as we're moving forward, things that we're going to try and tweak to make it better. Number one, we're going to make these objectives visible to the students right from the get-go. As more of an oversight on my part, just to not already have that included. It really probably should be on that title page. So that's something that we'll add into it. Just that idea that we want them to be able to solve word problems, and that's why we're giving them this tool. And then with that, either modify that final assessment to more fully include the address method, or have that clarity built in that the address method is a tool to solve word problems. We want you to solve word problems, and we're going to kind of teach you a way to do it. So really clarifying the objectives and then making sure that final assessment is a reflection of that. That's, again, I think where one of my big mistakes was as far as the design flow of it, not having those assessments done ahead of time. Um, the other thing I showed briefly, there's an address worksheet that's built into it, and I actually didn't show it in the site, but I can pull it up here relatively quickly. It's right here before you test. You can see here it'll pull up um, if my computer cooperates. Here it is. The solving word problems with address. Uh, I kind of drew this up as a kind of a worksheet almost that they can use to fill it in. The first colleague I work with, Zach, he's actually already tweaked this even more from this because he's actually started to use it already, and he's realized that it needs more space to work with. So he put one on a page so they had plenty of room for the diagram, plenty of room to show their work. His students, admittedly, are solving more complicated problems. Again, he's got pre-calc and calculus and even algebra 2 students using this, so their word problems tend to have a little bit more going on in them. My kids, this might be enough space, but he said in his findings that's been the big thing he's noticed. So we want to incorporate this entire sheet into the entire presentation and not just have it kind of thrown at him at the end. So that was something Kay had suggested. Kay was the other teacher I had working with me on this. Um, and then finally, with the student work, this was kind of a minor thing, just cleaning that up, resubmitting those images. Those were just things I drew up in my own hand and scanned in, using a scanner. So there's probably some better ways we can do that. We could probably even type it up. I kind of thought it'd be nice to have the handwritten use of it, but I think especially with the formatting, the way it was kind of spread so far out, it might actually be better to just go ahead and type up the student work and have them kind of work through it that way. And it's easy enough to do in Word. Google Docs is not really good with the equation editor. You can use it in actual Google Docs, but then you still have to convert it funny over to slides. So long story short, it'll take some doing, but I think we're going to clean that portion up. And then, of course, there were all the other little typos. Obviously, the big one where I had the section labeled wrong and those sorts of things. I'm not a web designer, so I make some non-web designer mistakes, but we'll clean those up as we work together as a whole department. So, final reflections on this. Again, I've talked about these already. My biggest mistakes: the design order, just not having that assessment, as clearly in my head. Correction, not having that assignment or assessment concrete. It should have been done, and that just kind of creates some problems that I didn't realize until somebody else looked at it and was kind of looking at the alignment issues. Nothing major, but at the same time, it's something I definitely want to take care of. That organizer that I just kind of showed you, that's definitely something that was a missed opportunity. And so as we move forward, we'll work that more into how the kids are going to work through this. And then finally, with the videos, I don't know if you're going to take the time to look through them, but I feel awkward reading from a script. you'll see that I list also a scripted video as one of the things that worked. I think it kept me on time and helped me stay focused on what it was that I was supposed to be talking about. But at the same time, it sounds kind of artificial, and I know that my students who know me will be able to tell that I'm reading something. And I know that was one of the things that we talked about from the Meyer article, just that being able to speak personably through these videos and through our multimedia is important. I didn't like that it didn't sound formal, but at the same time, I think it really did help. The other things that really helped were I did stumble into some really good software. I mean, Weebly, Google Apps, those aren't anything new, but this was my first time using a Weebly in 4 years. And when I did it 4 years ago, I really didn't like it. It wasn't intuitive. I didn't, everything I thought it should do, it wasn't doing. And now 4 years later, it's exactly what you expect it to be. It really was a good platform to work with. It was really easy. I had toyed with Google Classroom for a little bit because our school just recently implemented all the Google apps, and I was going to use Google Sites, excuse me, not Classroom, Google Sites in order to create this, and it didn't have the drag and drop interface. You had to insert things. I'm sure I could have done a wonderful job with it, but Weebly just made it so easy I couldn't say no once I saw it. Ankle Rattle turned out to be a really fun, easy to use site. It's not perfect. There were some parts that were a little clunky and a little hard to work around. Um, Going back to try and edit things, it's one I think would be a good site to use if you had it kind of already drawn up before. So like if you're going to write that kind of choose your own story, that's one you definitely want a storyboard for because it is hard to go back and change things. Um, but other than that, it was a good site that really worked out well, and I was happy with the story that came out of it. Google Drawings worked really well. That's how I created those images in the Draw Your Diagram section. And then using Google Forms for quizzes, I've been using Google Forms more and more and more and more. And every time I use them, I like them more. And this was just another opportunity for me to use them. Um, providing the feedback with the wrong answer and kicking them back, just being able to do that, that was really easy and intuitive to do. So I enjoyed working with it. It's something I think I'm going to use again in the future for other applications. So that's my learning object. Again, I appreciate the time you took. I know this probably went over our time limit, but I appreciate you taking the time to look through the whole thing. I appreciate you taking the time to look through the project, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. Thanks for your help, and please note that what you do for me is going to help my students learn better. So thanks a lot, and good luck in all your work.